Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Tara Arnold, and tonight I'm going to be consciously channeling Ascended Master St.Germain as he taps into the viewers' questions in real time, meaning he doesn't see time as past, present, and future like we do in third dimension. He sees time as everything's happening now, so he taps into your questions as you're watching the video. So the first thing that St. Germain is showing me is about manifestation and creating abundance. And a lot of us will do positive affirmations and say, I am abundant, or I am worthy, I am enough. And then the subconscious starts to store that and program that reality. But he's showing me that because there was such intense past lifetimes and childhoods that you heard over and over and over that you weren't worthy, you weren't enough, that it's taking a long time for that program to settle in the subconscious. So he's giving us a tip today, and he's saying change your self-talk to visualizing yourself outside of yourself. So visualize a mirror in front of you, and everything in front of you is a reflection of yourself on planet Earth. You're projecting it out, it reflects back to you. So visualize a mirror in front of you, and you're looking into that mirror, and start changing your self-talk to you. So you're going to look at yourself in the mirror in your visualization. If you don't visualize, just look in a real mirror. So start to do your self-talk as if the person in the mirror is you, and you're talking and telling that person, you are enough, you are abundance, you are worthy, you're getting that promotion, you've already gotten that promotion, you've already won the lottery, you've already created abundance in your reality. You're going to say you instead of I, because it's going to override the ego, because the ego doesn't know that you're talking to yourself. So you're going to put yourself in front of you, whether it's in a visualization or an actual mirror, and you're going to be talking to yourself as if you're another identity. And that's going to override the ego. And you can do both affirmations, like I am enough, and I am worthy, and I am abundance. And then also add to your practice, you are enough. So you're talking to that person. So if I wanted to create a new house, and so I have picked out the house that I want, every time I drive by it, I would say, you live in that house. You already have that house. That's where you live. And I do that self-talk as if there's another me outside of me that I'm talking to. And so it's going back and forth from I am enough, I am worthy, I am living in that house, to you are enough, you are worthy. And doing both of those things and seeing yourself in two different ways, a lot of times it'll override some of the ego blocks, because he's showing me how sneaky the ego gets. It starts to, even if you're saying I am enough, I am worthy, he's showing me that a lot of people, it's like the ego sneaking in another way and convincing you that you're not enough, because that's not what your mother told you, or that's not what your teacher told you, or that's not what your coach told you as a child, or that's not what your friend said, or what your boss says. And so it keeps grabbing other evidence to show you that that's not true. But when you see yourself outside of yourself in a mirror, and you're looking at yourself and you're saying you already have this, that it's like it overrides that ego, and it just goes straight to the subconscious, and it empowers you, and you can create more in your reality. So switching your self-talk, or adding it, because you can do both. You can still say I am enough, I am abundance, but also adding you are enough, I believe in you. And the thing is like when I do that, it's like I have more confidence to do it, because it feels like there's another identity outside of me, rather than all of this, low self-worth, low self-esteem from childhood or past lifetimes. It's not taking me forever to convince myself. So what it does is right away you're going to believe it, because it feels like you're talking to somebody else. It feels like you're empowering somebody else. So he's showing me that if you have a child or you're a teacher and you're teaching a child, you instill in them some powerful affirmations and you believe in them, and it's easy for you to believe in them because you can see their potential, you can see their greatness, and you're telling them you are amazing at that, you're a really good soccer player, or you're amazing at doing artwork, and you're going to be a great artist, or you are a great artist. And as you're telling the child this, you're believing it because you see the potential in that child. But when you do self-talk, like, I am enough, I am a great artist, I am a great soccer player, whatever it is, there's this feeling of not so confident in that. But when you tell other people it, there's so much confidence. So that's what he's saying, is that it'll switch and you'll have so much confidence in that person that you're looking at in the mirror. You're going to have so much confidence in them because your ego's not going to know you're talking to yourself. And so if the ego believes you're talking to yourself, it's going to do everything in its power to come in another way to try to remind you that you're not enough. So when you do that self-talk, you're going to find that your manifestations happen a lot faster because your ego doesn't know that you're empowering yourself. And the next thing that he's bringing in is he's saying that all of us have like a go-to ego emotion. So what is your go-to ego emotion when you react to something? So if you're having a reaction, if somebody triggers you, is your first reaction anxiety, or is it anger? Is it grief? Is it hate? Is it rage? Is it sadness? Like, what is that go-to emotion that your ego always grabs and goes to, like runs the program of? And then start to tell your subconscious that you're not going to buy into that emotion anymore. So he's showing me that all of us have this one emotion is our go-to emotion. And the ego, it's like before the person's even done triggering us or insulting us, or somebody is disrespecting you, before they're even done doing it, the ego says, oh, I'm going to run that program of like maybe anger or hate or sadness, or I feel betrayed, or anxiety, like panicking, like I've got to go into fight or flight and get out of here. So taking that one master emotion and not buying into it, and telling yourself, no, when I feel that anger arise, so if your go-to emotion is anger, you're going to say, no, when I feel anger arise, that's not what I'm going to buy into. I'm not going to believe it. And then it's because he's saying that if you grab that go-to emotion, it happens instantly. But if you're stopping it, it gives your like a pause before your ego finds the next emotion. So in that pause, you can change your perception. So it's like, I'm not going to let that dominant ego emotion control and run my life anymore. Every time somebody triggers me and I respond with rage, it's like instant. I'm not going to allow that anymore. And that gives you a pause, and your ego is going to try to find another emotion to bring in to make you react to the situation. But that pause is going to give you time to respond and be present in the now moment instead of react with that go-to emotion. So just take notice. It's like the same thing that we were just talking about, kind of standing outside of yourself. The next few times somebody triggers you, he's saying to just observe that root emotion, because once you nail what that root emotion is, it's going to give you a lot of power over preventing the ego from taking you too deep into the third dimension ego consciousness. It's going to give you a pause, and then you'll say, oh, I could respond in this moment instead of react, and then you'll be able to stay present longer. And the next thing he's bringing in is there's some confusion with someone about third dimension love versus fifth dimension love and the difference, or third dimension joy versus fifth dimension joy and the difference. So when you're in third dimension, any kind of doing keeps you in third dimension. So everything in third dimension has a polarity. It has an opposite. There is always an ego reason behind every emotion. Because it's third dimension, there is nothing outside of it. So the ego always takes you to a judgment in third dimension. It has to have a polarity. So if you love somebody, there has to be an ego reason why you love them in third dimension. An example of this is if somebody says, I love that person unconditionally, but then they do something and they get disappointed, the disappointment is a condition. And so if your child misbehaves or your mother disappoints you, then your ego says that we have to judge that as something wrong. And then that is a condition. Everything in third dimension has to have a condition because it's third dimension. So don't judge yourself if you have ego love. So if you gave somebody a gift, there is an ego reason behind it. If you're in third dimension, did I give that person a gift so that they would love me? Did I give that person a gift so they would accept me? Did I give that person a gift so they would think I'm enough? Why are you giving somebody a gift in third dimension? There has to be a condition behind it because it's third dimension. There has to be a polarity or a contrast. There has to be an intention from the ego because it's third dimension. If you're giving a gift in fifth dimension, there's no condition behind it. You're giving it solely from your heart with no expectation. So if that person doesn't like your gift, then you don't feel disappointed. So how you can tell if you're giving love from third dimension aspect or from fifth dimension aspect, from your ego or from your heart, is if you give somebody something like a gift and you don't get the reaction that you expect them to give you, do you get upset? Do you get disappointed? There's an expectation in third dimension for every emotion. We're dictating what we want people to react like to everything that we do. And the ego is going to run the program of third dimension frequency with everything that you do. So when you love in third dimension, there is a condition behind it. There's an expectation. If you love your child unconditionally, but then they take the car out for the weekend and they're drinking and driving and they crash into a tree and you feel disappointment, you've just put a condition on that love because there was an ego vibration behind it. If you felt nothing and you had no reaction, but you were present and you just accepted the car accident fully. They didn't get injured, so they're okay. Nobody got hurt. So if you just accepted it for what it was, that they got in a car accident, they took your car, they were drinking and driving, underage, now they're, going to get arrested. And you can be present with that without judgment on it. And then you're loving them from the heart. You're loving them from fifth dimension because there's no reaction. If you have a reaction, it's third dimension love. It's a condition, it's a polarity. But St. Germain's saying don't judge yourself for either. We're here to play both games of third dimension and fifth dimension. So there's a third dimension joy and there's a fifth dimension joy. There's a third dimension happiness and there's a fifth dimension happiness. Like you could be happy and feel joyful that you're going to go hang out with your friends, but if your friend cancels at the last minute, do you get disappointed? Do you get upset with them? Did you have an expectation? Or were you just as happy that they canceled the plans last minute because maybe now you can stay home and order food in and watch a movie with your inner child? Like if you are having no reaction, you're in fifth dimension. If you're having a reaction, you're in third dimension. If there's a condition or an expectation, it's third dimension. So there's two different types of realities that we're playing out, and it's not judging either one. It's okay if you're in a third dimension relationship with people and you have third dimension expectations and third dimension conditions and you react to things. You're here to experience both polarities of the third dimension and all the frequencies that go with the third dimension. And also you can tap into the fifth dimension where there is no judgment. You're present, you're not reacting, you're responding but not reacting, and there's not expectation on your relationships. So as you awaken and you move into more fifth dimension relationships, what that looks like is there's never an expectation put on that friendship or on the relationship with a child or a parent or an aunt or a family member or a boss, or like all your relationships come without expectations. So nobody can ever disappoint you again. So the only time that you'd ever get disappointed is if you attach to things. So as you let go of your attachments, then you stop getting disappointed because you stop expecting that person to respond to you in a certain way. You stop putting expectations on your relationships and you set yourself free from all the limitations of that third dimension, and you just accept what is and just allow what is. You can still set a boundary and say no to something that you don't want to participate in. But when it comes to your relationships that you've agreed to and you have in your reality, it's that practicing not reacting and not setting these heavy expectations, and you'll stop getting disappointed. If you're having disappointment in your life, it's because you have attachments. Let go of all of your attachments. Everything outside of us is an attachment. So it's letting go of all attachments. If this thing went missing, would I be sad? If I lost everything right now, would I be sad? If my house burned down and everything in it burned down with it, is there anything I'm attached to? If all the people that I know in my reality suddenly left my reality, would I be upset? Would I miss them? Do I have an attachment to them and the role that they play in my reality? So it's going through and saying goodbye to all the attachments from the ego. And what happens is it opens more space in the heart so that you can have a heart-to-heart love connection with that person. So if that person that's in your reality is practicing presence and practicing having fifth dimension relationships, then they're going to let go of all their attachments to you and all their expectations to you. And so it's a more harmonious relationship, and the ego attachments shrink and the heart grows. And so your heart connection becomes stronger, is what he's showing me. It's like the more you expand your consciousness and the more they expand their consciousness, the heart consciousness is grows stronger. And so you feel a deeper love of divinity. And the ego attachments, like we are in third dimension, so all of our relationships were from the ego. There was ego reasons why we wanted somebody in our life, why we became friends with them, why we enjoy working for them, why we like them as a parent or as a child or as an aunt or an uncle. There are ego reasons to all our relationships because it's the only game that we knew is third dimension. It's the only game that we know is third dimension, then that's all you're going to create. So before you started your awakening, all your relationships were third dimension. They're all based on attachments and what that person can give to you and what you can give to them, and judgments and contrast and conditions and polarity and disappointments and expectations. It's the only game there is in third dimension. So as you're awakening and go into fifth dimension, the game changes. But the heart love becomes stronger and the ego love shrinks. So that's all he's bringing in today. Thanks for joining us. I am working on a video right now about physical ascension symptoms and ways to deal with them. So if anybody has any questions about that, put that in the comment section below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.